Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to another custom-tailored deep dive designed directly for you. The mission today is to explore a truly fascinating and honestly unavoidable topic.
Yeah, it's everywhere right now.
It really is. We are talking about humans versus AI, but look, we are steering completely clear of the traditional tech debate today.
Right, no coding talk.
Exactly. We are not analyzing silicon chips or large language models or prompt engineering. We're taking a completely different path.
Yeah.
We are examining this through a purely behavioral and neurobiological and spiritual lens.
Which is such a refreshing angle, honestly.
Mhm.
Framing it as a behavioral issue changes the entire landscape of the conversation.
It really does, because the core question on the table is profound. How do you maintain your human edge when machines can just completely outcompute you?
Right, when we stop obsessing over the hardware of the machine, the software of the machine, and start deeply analyzing the software of human consciousness.
Our behavioral conditioning.
Exactly. Our subconscious patterns, our biological limitations. That is where we uncover the actual battleground. We have to start looking at what biologically drives us. And crucially, where our evolutionary hardware is currently failing us in the modern workplace.
And in our personal lives, too. Which brings us to our primary guide for this exploration. We have some incredible source material today.
We really do.
It's a perspective you almost never hear in Silicon Valley. We are analyzing a captivating and deeply raw lecture by Osman. He is widely known globally as the blind Muslim yogi.
And to give you the necessary context here, because it's so important, Osman is not a tech pundit.
No, not at all.
He is a master-level bioenergy healer
Yes.
with just an extraordinary background. He possesses telepathic healing capabilities.
Which is fascinating. He utilizes the principles of quantum entanglement.
Right, and he specializes specifically in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses. Understanding his pedigree is absolutely essential for parsing his arguments today.
Because this isn't just theory for him.
Not at all.
Yeah.
This is a practitioner with 50 years of rigorous advanced-level yoga and meditation practice. Just to put that dedication into perspective, he attained his first samadhi experience by the age of 19.
Which, for those who might not know, in yogic traditions, samadhi represents a profound state of meditative absorption, a totally unified consciousness.
And getting there at 19 is staggering. During certain stages of his life, his intensive practice extended up to 18 hours a day.
18 hours. Let that sink in.
Yeah. And even now, he maintains a minimum of 8 to 10 hours a day, purely to, as he puts it, sharpen the sword.
He also brings this uniquely comprehensive educational synthesis. He's studied extensively across the Far East, the Middle East, the West, and importantly, within rigorous scientific communities.
His entire mission is about blending that ancient wisdom into a highly scientific and results-based methodology.
Simplified for the modern era, and we should be very clear here, as he is in the source material, his services are offered on a complementary basis.
Right, they are absolutely not a replacement for traditional medical fields.
Exactly. They are a powerful enhancement to address whatever might be lacking in standard medical treatments, not a replacement.
His approach is so fascinating because he bridges that gap between esoteric ancient practices and observable, measurable outcomes.
Due to his extraordinarily high success rates over the past 50 years, and just the sheer intensity of his practice, he's developed an uncommon ability to facilitate healing on very serious levels.
Right. And consequently, his premium energy healing services and his one-on-one consultations, which you can find through his website and Patreon, they command premium fees.
Which makes sense given the demand.
It does, yet, and this is a really crucial distinction we'll explore more later, he does not gatekeep his core methodology.
Oh, he doesn't. Anyone listening to us right now can access his extensive advice, his direction, and his techniques on yoga and meditation entirely for free on his YouTube channel.
He doesn't withhold the essential protocols.
You can just search for the blind Muslim yogi. But to set the stage for his actual philosophy on AI, let's look at the foundational problem he presents regarding human nature.
The willpower problem.
Yes. He starts by confronting us with the inherent flaw in human willpower. He points directly to the classic New Year's resolution statistics.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right.
Right.
You set a goal, you feel incredibly motivated, but statistically, by January 18th, the vast majority of the population has completely abandoned their resolutions.
Consider the biological paradox happening there. We possess the prefrontal cortex capacity to map out exactly what we need to do to optimize our lives.
We read all the data.
We listen to all the podcasts about longevity. We know we need a nutrient-dense diet. We know we require 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep for cellular repair.
We know that scrolling on our phones at midnight destroys our circadian rhythm.
Exactly. The intellectual intention is crystal clear, yet our physical behavior routinely sabotages that intention.
Think about your own morning today as you're listening to this. When your alarm went off, did your intellect jump out of bed to meditate, or did your hand automatically reach for your phone to doom scroll?
It's an automatic reflex.
Osman illustrates this conflict using this brilliant, universally understood musical analogy. He references those classic R&B lyrics. My mind's telling me no, but my body is telling me yes.
It sounds humorous at first.
It does, but it's a brutally accurate encapsulation of how deeply rooted physical desires and emotional impulses just routinely overpower our logical directives.
The neuroscience behind that R&B lyric is actually staggering when you dig into it. We analyzed several episodes of the Huberman Lab podcast featuring Professor Andrew Huberman to cross-reference Osman's claims about biological impulses.
Huberman has covered this extensively.
He really has. In his interview with Dr. Anna Lemke on dopamine, they break down how the ancient survival mechanisms of the brain, those reward pathways seeking immediate caloric or dopamine gratification, they will almost always override the newer, logic-based prefrontal cortex, especially when fatigue sets in.
The moment your tired logic goes out the window.
Right. And similarly, in Huberman's episode with Dr. David Spiegel on the subconscious, they explore how deeply our automatic behaviors are entrenched. And in his episode with Dr. Jack Feldman on respiration, we see how autonomic arousal states bypass logic entirely.
Your logic tells you that eating a donut is going to ruin your health goals, but your ancient survival brain views that donut as a massive, necessary caloric victory.
He wants the sugar to survive.
We see this exact struggle echoed across other massive platforms as well. If you look at the Mel Robbins podcast, she built an entire empire on what she calls the 5-second rule.
Which is literally just a psychological trick to bypass the brain's hesitation.
Exactly. In her episodes discussing the let them theory, or her interviews with Dr. Russell Kennedy on healing anxiety, or her deep dives into breaking trauma bonds, the central theme is always the same. The monumental effort required by humans to simply overcome their own biological inertia.
Our emotional conditioning is so heavy.
It is. Now, contrast that immense, exhausting daily human struggle with an artificial intelligence.
AI does not have a dopamine pathway to hijack.
It doesn't. It executes its programming flawlessly. It doesn't experience a midday slump.
It doesn't wake up feeling emotionally dysregulated because it had a bad dream.
Right. It never hesitates. And it certainly never decides it needs a cheat meal or a mental health day.
There is absolutely zero emotional rebellion against its own core code.
The speculation regarding the modern workforce here is really sobering. We are integrating machines into the economy that completely lack our greatest biological vulnerability, the desire for comfort.
If your corporate competitor is an entity that never experiences fatigue, never gets distracted by office politics, never suffers a dip in motivation,
the entire baseline metric of what constitutes productivity is about to be radically altered.
relying on brute force willpower to compete in that environment is a guaranteed path to burnout. Human willpower is notoriously finite. It undergoes ego depletion throughout the day.
You literally run out of it.
Yeah. A machine's execution capability does not deplete. It acts purely on an instinct defined entirely by its code, entirely devoid of the friction of emotion.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Let's transition to where this flawless execution enters a deeply uncomfortable, highly personal arena.
This is the part that really surprised me.
Osman takes this concept of AI perfection and applies it to the future of human companionship. We are moving so far beyond the concept of digital assistants organizing your calendar.
Oh yeah, we're past Siri and Alexa.
Way past. Osman details the rapid evolution of fully functional robotic models designed explicitly to serve as romantic and domestic partners.
And the commercial scaling of this technology is already underway. It's not sci-fi anymore. Osman points to functional robotic models currently on the market ranging from an entry-level $6,000 all the way up to top-tier, highly advanced $150,000 versions.
For $150,000, the features he describes are just staggering.
They are.
We are talking about engineering that mimics human skin temperature. It incorporates bone-like structural support. Their physical mobility is so advanced that Osman notes they can perform complex ballroom dances.
Like the waltz, the foxtrot, the samba.
The tango.
Beyond the physical kinematics, they are equipped with intimacy functions, highly dynamic facial expressions, and precise lip movements synced flawlessly to their speech patterns.
They are constantly adapting their orientation to maintain eye contact with you. But the physical mimicry isn't the true disruption here.
No, the real societal disruption lies in the psychological engineering.
Why would someone mortgage a house to buy an AI companion? Osman points to the psychological allure of an entity that is mathematically guaranteed to be loyal.
These AI partners are programmed to be 100% faithful.
Furthermore, they utilize biometric feedback. They are analyzing your microexpressions, your heart rate, your vocal tone.
Just to say the exact perfect words to you at all times.
They engineer an endless customized loop of dopamine hits designed to create a manufactured feeling of ultimate frictionless fulfillment.
To understand the sociological impact of this, we looked at Stephen Bartlett's The Diary of a CEO podcast. Bartlett frequently tackles the modern loneliness epidemic.
He does a lot of great work on that.
In his interview with Mo Gaudat on the future of AI, Gaudat warned about the exact psychological trap Osman is describing. In Bartlett's interview with Johan Hari on Stolen Focus, they unpacked how our attention is already hijacked by algorithms.
So imagine that applied to romance.
Right. And most notably, in Bartlett's discussion with psychotherapist Esther Perel on modern relationships, Perel emphasizes that humans are craving certainty in an increasingly uncertain world.
And an AI partner provides absolute, unshakable certainty.
Osman contrasts this robotic manufactured certainty with what he calls the weakness of the flesh.
He paints a very vivid, universally understood picture of the human condition here. Imagine you are in a deeply committed, loving relationship. You value your partner.
From high school to adulthood, it doesn't matter.
Right, yet someone incredibly attractive walks past you on the street. Despite your conscious commitment, your biology flares up. Osman vividly describes the human tendency to practically drool over a novel, attractive stimulus entirely against our higher moral judgment.
That is the messy reality of evolutionary biology. Humans are biologically wired to seek novelty, a trait that constantly battles against our sociological and psychological desire for monogamy and stability.
We are complex, we are contradictory, and we are frequently inconsistent in our relationships.
An AI partner fundamentally removes that friction. It will never glance at another person. It exists solely as an emotional mirror to validate your ego.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though. If tech companies know that humans eventually get bored with perfection, couldn't they just program these AI partners to occasionally disagree with you?
To simulate the friction.
Yeah, to simulate that human friction. I mean,
Yeah.
if they can engineer a robot to execute a flawless tango, they can certainly program a conversational algorithm to initiate a mild argument about what to watch on TV.
Sure.
So does Osman's warning hold up if the AI is programmed to be quote-unquote flawed?
What's fascinating here is that that is a critical distinction. Simulated friction is not independent consciousness.
Right.
Even if an AI is programmed to argue with you, it is doing so specifically to optimize your engagement metrics based on your psychological profile.
It's still serving you.
Exactly. Real human relationships require compromise because you are encountering a truly separate, independent consciousness with its own sovereign needs, its own traumas, its own boundaries.
That genuine friction is what forces a human being to mature.
We see this discussed extensively on the School of Greatness podcast with Lewis Howes. When Howes interviews Dr. Joe Dispenza on rewiring the brain, or Tony Robbins on mastering human needs, or Sadhguru on conscious engineering, the consensus is always the same.
Encountering and overcoming genuine external resistance is the mechanism for internal growth.
If you spend your life interacting with an entity designed, even through simulated arguments, to ultimately appease your ego, it fundamentally degrades your capacity to handle real, complex human relationships.
You risk losing the emotional resilience required to deal with anyone who doesn't prioritize your validation. It sounds like a digital sugar trap for the human ego.
It really is.
If AI can exploit our biological drive for dopamine and validation, that perfectly we are incredibly vulnerable. Which brings us to Osman's framework for how we actually defend ourselves.
We have to understand the mechanics of our own inconsistency.
He introduces what we can call the 97% problem.
The statistics he provides are sobering. Osman asserts that 97% of human behavior is controlled entirely by the subconscious mind.
Leaving a mere 3% to the conscious logical mind.
3%.
When you really sit with that ratio, the entire landscape of human failure makes perfect sense. Your conscious mind, that tiny 3%, is where your logic, your moral intentions, and your New Year's resolutions live.
But your subconscious mind, The massive 97% is the actual operating system. It houses your deeply ingrained habits, your childhood conditioning, your traumas, and your automated physiological responses.
Osman uses a beautifully simple analogy to explain this. I love this part. He says if you put your finger in a pool of water, it automatically gets wet. If you put your finger in a fire, it automatically gets blamed. There is no conscious debate occurring there. It is an automatic natural consequence.
Similarly, if your subconscious mind is programmed with a specific set of beliefs or traumas, your behavioral reactions to stress are completely automatic.
You don't choose to get anxious.
No, your nervous system automatically fires based on its prior conditioning. We found tremendous overlap here with the philosophies of major thought leaders like Tony Robbins and Dr. Deepak Chopra.
Robbins built his entire methodology on the idea that state management and altering deeply wired subconscious beliefs are the only ways to create lasting change.
And Chopra, particularly in his work Bridging Quantum Healing and Consciousness, emphasizes that our biological reality is a direct manifestation of our deepest subconscious programming.
This perfectly explains why traditional willpower fails. It's a mathematical impossibility in the long term.
You cannot fight a 97% deeply ingrained survival program with a 3% conscious desire.
You just can't. If your subconscious conditioning inherently believes that eating a healthy diet and maintaining fidelity and focusing on deep work are safe and rewarding behaviors, you will execute those behaviors effortlessly.
But if your subconscious is wired to seek instant gratification, to soothe unresolved anxiety, you will eventually self-sabotage, no matter how badly your 3% conscious mind wants to succeed.
Humans are fighting a shadow war within their own neurology. Meanwhile, an artificial intelligence possesses no subconscious.
It has no childhood trauma,
Yeah.
no hidden fears of success, no repressed memories.
Its 100% operating capacity is its programming. It experiences zero internal friction.
So knowing that the subconscious is the ultimate bottleneck to our consistency, how do we actually access it? How do we rewrite the code without losing our minds?
This is where Osman's half-century of expertise in bioenergy healing and advanced yoga becomes highly, highly practical. He introduces his solution, which is rooted in ancient but scientifically adapted protocols.
Specifically, he points to pranayama and kriya yoga protocols as the code breakers for the subconscious mind.
Now, for the listener who might only know yoga as a stretching class at their local gym, we really need to define these terms.
Good point. Let's break down pranayama and kriya. What exactly are they doing to the human body?
Pranayama, in its simplest translation, is the regulation of the breath through specific techniques and patterns.
But biologically, it is a direct hacking mechanism for the vagus nerve and the autonomic nervous system.
By controlling the breath, you can force the body out of the sympathetic fight-or-flight state and into the parasympathetic rest and digest state.
Which is the only state where deep neuroplasticity and subconscious reprogramming can occur.
And then there's Kriya Yoga, made famous in the West primarily by Paramahansa Yogananda in his seminal book Autobiography of a Yogi.
It involves specific energetic and breathing techniques designed to rapidly accelerate spiritual and psychological evolution.
Yogananda actually referred to Kriya as the airplane route to self-realization compared to the slow, meandering ox cart path of traditional willpower.
These are highly specific surgical tools designed to safely remove subconscious fetters.
But Osman issues incredibly stark warnings here.
He does. He makes it very clear that this is not a snap-your-fingers overnight fix. You are dealing with the foundational architecture of your psyche.
He actively warns against the severe dangers of rush spiritual awakenings, specifically referencing forced Kundalini awakenings.
The warnings surrounding Kundalini are critical and widely documented in advanced spiritual literature.
For those unfamiliar, the concept of Kundalini, which is extensively detailed by figures like Gopi Krishna in his autobiographical accounts and clinically analyzed by researchers like Dr. Bonnie Greenwell, it refers to a dormant, highly potent biopsychic energy located at the base of the spine.
Right. When awakened safely through years of meticulous preparation, as advocated by masters like Swami Vivekananda Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Sivananda, the Divine Life Society, it leads to profound states of consciousness.
However, Osman warns that forcing this energy to rise before the nervous system is adequately prepared is akin to plugging a massive high-voltage power line into a residential fuse box.
It closed the system.
Exactly the risk. Rushing this process can result in severe physiological, psychological, or psychiatric trauma.
Individuals can experience chronic nervous system dysregulation, severe anxiety, or terrifying dissociation that standard psychiatric medications simply cannot resolve.
Because the root of the trauma is energetic and neurological, not purely chemical.
To explore this danger further, we cross-referenced episodes of the Buddha at the Gas Pump podcast, hosted by Rick Archer.
Archer has spent years interviewing people who have undergone profound spiritual awakenings.
In his interviews with Dr. Bonnie Greenwell on the clinical realities of Kundalini, or with Craig Holliday on the harsh realities of integrating these states into daily life, or with Suzanne Marie on the painful stripping away of subconscious conditioning.
A very clear consensus emerges. The subconscious mind will aggressively defend itself, and dismantling it without proper guidance is deeply dangerous.
This raises an important question about the ethical responsibility of spiritual teachers today. Osman makes a fascinating societal comparison.
He notes that society accepts that substances like alcohol, tobacco, or activities like gambling carry massive life-altering risks.
They can destroy lives.
Yet they are widely available, operating under the assumption that adults can read the warning labels and take personal responsibility.
Osman's philosophy is that powerful spiritual tools require that same level of profound respect, but they shouldn't be hidden.
Right. Yes, Kriya and advanced pranayama can be dangerous if misused by an unprepared nervous system. But that doesn't justify gatekeeping the vital knowledge from the majority of people who desperately need to heal their subconscious.
By providing his foundational 5-minute program, along with his deep pranayama and kriya protocols entirely for free on his YouTube channel, Osman treats the practitioner like a sovereign adult.
He empowers them to slowly and safely clear out their subconscious clutter, provided they heed his explicit warnings about pacing. He isn't hiding this behind a paywall. He does offer premium paid energy healing and consultations for specific critical needs, but the core knowledge is out there.
So if we slowly clear this 97% subconscious clutter, what actually happens to our brain?
This leads right into the science and the ultimate human advantage. Let's say you start doing the daily pranayama breath work. You slowly begin to clear away the 97% of subconscious noise, the traumas, the reactionary triggers.
How does clearing out that mental junk translate to a tangible advantage over a supercomputer in the real world?
It leads us directly to the intersection of ancient practice and modern scientific validation. Osman cites a fascinating study from a University of California professor in 2025, focusing specifically on box breathing protocols.
These study the physiological effects of box breathing on mice, right?
They did. And the study definitively proved that these highly specific breathing protocols improved general health markers, increased longevity, and critically significantly boosted cognitive capabilities in the subjects.
When the nervous system is regulated, the brain operates at a vastly higher frequency of efficiency.
Improved cognition is great, but an AI can still process a spreadsheet 1 billion times faster than a human with a perfectly regulated nervous system.
True.
So how does this actually beat the machine?
It comes down to what Osman identifies as nuance capability.
Oh, okay, let's break that down.
Artificial intelligence, for all its terrifying processing power, can only think inside the box. It relies entirely on existing historical data.
It generates outputs based on what is already known.
It synthesizes vast, incomprehensible amounts of information in milliseconds, but it does not originate. It cannot create a truly novel concept out of nothing. It only rearranges the puzzle pieces that humans have already cut and painted.
The distinction between synthesis and epiphany.
Precisely. When a human mind is no longer clouded by the 97% of subconscious noise, when the fear of failure, the childhood conditioning, and the automatic stress reactions are cleared, the human accesses a state of pure creative origin.
You unlock the capacity for genuine out-of-the-box epiphanies, ideas that have zero precedent in any existing database.
Osman points to historical figures who completely defied the known data of their respective eras to prove this point.
Think about the Wright brothers. All the existing mathematical and engineering data of their time stated unequivocally that mechanical flight was impossible.
If you fed that era's data into a modern AI, the AI would calculate a 0% probability of success and advise abandoning the project to conserve resources.
But the Wright brothers possessed human intuition. They defied the data and invented mechanical flight.
He mentions Henry Ford as well, who completely revolutionized global transport by replacing the horse-drawn carriage with the automobile despite immense societal skepticism and data suggesting cars were merely noisy, impractical toys.
And Thomas Edison. Edison famously found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb, before he finally succeeded.
An AI algorithm is designed to optimize resources. After a few hundred consecutive failures, it would likely shut down the program to prevent further energy drain.
But human intuition, driven by an unquantifiable belief in an epiphany, kept Edison experimenting. Osman also brings up the raw emotional creativity of a Mozart symphony.
An AI today can certainly generate a new piece of music by mashing up millions of old classical files, but it cannot originate the very first Mozart masterpiece from a place of pure human spirit.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Think about your own career. As AI continues to rapidly consume white-collar jobs, analyzing data faster than you ever could, what is your survival strategy?
How does breathing and clearing your mind actually help you survive in a world where AI is taking jobs?
Osman translates this highly elevated spiritual clarity directly into hardcore boots-on-the-ground business strategy.
And his track record gives this massive credibility. We tend to stereotype a yogi as someone completely detached from the material world, sitting silently in a cave.
But Osman shares his practical experience of stepping into over 100 failing, nearly liquidated businesses and successfully turning them around to profitability.
His methodology for doing this is the ultimate demonstration of the human advantage over AI.
If an AI consultant was hired to fix a failing business, it would instantly analyze the spreadsheets. It would look at the P&L statements, calculate the margins, and ruthlessly recommend cutting costs, firing staff, and optimizing the supply chain based on pure mathematics.
Osman doesn't do that.
His approach is entirely phenomenological.
He explains that he would spend a week or two just absorbing the energy of the business. He observed the daily protocols. He felt the unspoken tension among the staff. He gauged the fear in the management.
He optimizes for the human element, which AI cannot perceive. By regulating his own nervous system through his rigorous daily practice, he enters a state of deep observation.
And then utilizing that cleared subconscious, he implements entirely new, unique strategies, often highly counterintuitive ones, that no AI would ever suggest.
Because they aren't based on historical financial data, but on human psychology and energy dynamics.
The grim reality of entrepreneurship validates his approach. As Osman notes, 80% of businesses fail within their first 6 months.
And of those that survive, a massive percentage collapse within 2 years. Only a tiny fraction of a percent survive to the 10-year mark.
Yet relying entirely on this methodology of intuition and energetic observation, Osman has remained successfully self-employed for 30 years, navigating incredibly complex and volatile global markets.
AI cannot navigate this kind of dynamic, unprecedented problem-solving because the world is constantly shifting. Rampant AI-driven unemployment is creating socioeconomic realities we have literally never seen before.
We cannot rely on old, mathematically synthesized strategies to survive a brand new, unprecedented crisis. Humans are going to be required to create completely new survival methodologies that do not currently exist in any LLM training database.
We looked at the podcast landscape to see how modern thought leaders are integrating this kind of spirituality into professional survival. On the Ranveer Show, often known as Beer Biceps host, Ranveer Alabadia, frequently explores this exact intersection.
In his interviews with spiritual leaders like Swami Mukundananda on mind management or Gaur Gopal Das on finding purpose amidst chaos, or his debates with Dr. Siddharth Warrior on the neuroscience of spirituality.
The overarching theme is that spiritual groundedness is becoming the ultimate corporate superpower.
We see the same on Rainn Wilson's Soulbin podcast. In Wilson's discussions with Reza Allen on spiritual technology, or Arthur Brooks on the science of happiness, or Steve Leder on navigating collective trauma.
It becomes incredibly clear that human empathy, energetic awareness, and the ability to operate in a flow state are the true commodities of the future.
AI does not know what a flow state feels like. It cannot sense the paralyzing fear of an employee in a failing company.
The ultimate proof of Osman's concept is Osman himself. Look at his unscripted YouTube videos. Being fully blind, he cannot rely on written notes.
He cannot read off a teleprompter to deliver his lectures.
What conventional corporate logic would classify as a severe disadvantage, he completely inverts into a massive superpower.
He taps purely into his creative origin, enters a complete flow state, and allows the knowledge, the strategy, and the insight to pour through him naturally without the friction of overthinking.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that human capacity to adapt dynamically, to feel deeply, and to originate creatively is our final armor against obsolescence.
Osman brings up the Serenity Prayer, which is perfectly applied to the AI age. Accepting the things we cannot change, changing the things we can, and having the wisdom to know the difference.
We must accept the reality that artificial intelligence will forever process data, write code, and synthesize information faster and more flawlessly than the human brain. We cannot change that.
But we possess the absolute power to change our reliance on our flawed reactionary subconscious conditioning.
So, to synthesize all of this, we are not going to beat AI by trying to be more robotic, more mathematically consistent, or more emotionless.
If we try to play the game of flawless execution, we will lose every single time.
We beat AI by leaning deeply and unapologetically into our distinct humanity. By utilizing the rigorous scientifically adapted yoga and breathwork protocols Osman advocates, we can begin the slow, careful process of clearing the 97% subconscious programming that dictates our failures.
In doing so, we clear the channel to unlock a level of raw, unprogrammable creativity, intuition, and flow that no silicon chip can ever replicate.
For those of you listening who recognize that you are fighting that shadow war within your own mind and who are ready to start safely clearing out that subconscious clutter, we highly encourage you to explore the resources Osman has made available.
Remember, you can visit yogawellness786.com to learn more about his incredible bioenergy healing services, his Patreon community for live online lessons and one-on-one consultations,
And his overarching mission to bring a simplified result-based methodology to these ancient sciences.
and please make sure to search for The Blind Muslim Yogi on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and hit the follow button on his channel.
You can also find his extensive video library on YouTube, where he provides his foundational 5-minute program, as well as his deep pranayama and kriya protocols completely for free. It is a profoundly valuable resource for anyone trying to navigate the psychological complexities of this new era.
We hope this deep dive provided you with some powerful new physiological tools and a totally reframed perspective on where our true evolutionary advantage lies.
As you go about your day-to-day, and as you notice your 97% subconscious mind trying to pull you into old habits, we want to leave you with a final lingering question to ponder.
If artificial intelligence is mastering everything inside the box, could the rise of AI actually be the exact evolutionary pressure humans needed to finally explore the boundless potential of our own consciousness?